H1Z1 Invitational qualifying matches happening on the floor of TwitchCon 2016. I'm going to kick it over to Ty because he was there. It was so fantastic. Go ahead.
Oh, man, it was amazing. They started advertising about a month ago. They're going to have qualifying rounds where anybody in the world could come in and have a fair fighting chance to get an invitational and win $260,000, right? Well, I found out that wasn't really the case. And a lot of things led up to this, including a lot of other streamers seeing some shisty business moves by Daybreak, and it's pretty disgusting. I flew in Friday night. I woke up at 7:30 a.m. I showed up to TwitchCon around 8 a.m. and waited there in line until about 10:15 outside where we could go in. I instantly went to the back of the H1Z1 booth setup where they had all the computers to play the qualifying matches, and got in line right away. I think I was 29th in line, if I recall right, and was getting ready to play. Was pretty pumped. It was pretty cool. There's people everywhere. I mean, you're playing in a real competitive environment. There's thousands of people watching you. Yeah, you get a little nervous. You have some fun building up to it. Well, the gist of where this went was I played the first qualifying match, and as I was walking out, the VP of Daybreak says, "Hey, nice try. You getting back in line?" I said, "Sure am." He said, "Great. We want to make sure people who leave get back in line and can keep playing, have another chance for qualifying matches, right?" So I walked out, went back in line, and by the time I walked back out in line, there was quite a few people there. So I got in line. We were waiting there. I was talking to some of the other people, and just hanging out, having a good time. Previously, before I walked out, I got the phone number from one of the head Daybreak guys to take a tour of their studio Monday, so I was pretty excited to do that before I took off. And when I got back in line, I was waiting to watch the next match or get signed up for the next match, and I was 82nd. They came around with the clicker and clicked everyone. I was 82nd line. Sweet. There's some people in front of me, behind me I knew. There's a couple of bigger streamers. So we started waiting, and they started the second match. There's 60 people per match, and somehow, even 82nd line, I didn't get back in to the second or third match. And we started watching. The big screens of people playing. And all of a sudden, we saw, by the third match, something very interesting, and that's that some of the medium-sized streamers, all of a sudden, were able to keep playing every single qualifying match, even though there's lines and lines of people waiting to play or replay from the previous match. So we were waiting in line, and we started noticing this, and we realized that certain streamers were cutting hundreds of people in line and jumping ahead of everyone else, completely bypassing the entire structure they had for this tournament. And the devs were allowing this. And I didn't even notice at first. A couple other streamers started noticing it. And you're like, okay, it's not that big a deal. People are cutting in line, right? Well, you're also competing for $260,000, and there's about 300 people that flew out here from all across the world, including myself. Spent thousands of dollars to come down here for a tournament, for a qualifying match. And certain streamers were able to cut ahead in line. They had no line management, and random people started cutting in line, just random people running in, cutting. And on top of that, they were pulling people that were like I played the first qualifying match. I went back in line. I was dinked as 82nd in line as they walked by. Well, one of the guys that played the first match somehow, even though he died after me, started in the second qualifying match. Some of the same people. Well, how the hell did the guy who was still playing, even though I got knocked out and am waiting in line to play again, jump in front of me and in front of 82 other people and get to play again? It didn't make sense. And some of the people in the crowd started asking, what the hell is going on? How is this? How do we see, for example, Nightwalker R1H1, how is he playing a second match? He was just in line. He just finished top 10 in the last match. How is he back in here again? Nobody had an answer. So hundreds of people in line are trying to figure out what is going on and why are people not able to, who've been waiting in line, get back into the next match. And when I say wait in line, you got to remember, I stood there for 4 hours waiting in line, and we were told that if we walked away to use the bathroom, eat or drink, we'd lose our spot.
Oh my God.
So
this is already pissing me off. Yeah,
I stood
I'm
in
starting
line,
to get heated.
I stood in line from 7:30. I got there about 8. I Ubered in. I took an Uber for the first time. Got there, stood outside the stadium for 2 hours. Finally get in, stand in the line some more before we start the match. Probably another hour. I get done with the match, instantly get back in line because the line's starting to line up. Because there's crowds are coming in to watch the qualifying.
Yeah, it was
so
crazy.
There's people freaking everywhere, man. And so I'm sitting there waiting to play again, and we're seeing this. And I have Ice Pick who was in front of me, and I had a couple other people. I mean, you see the same people because we all been practicing, so you recognize who's all there. And we started going, what the hell's going? We're all smaller streamers, and if not streamers, just regular people. What the hell's going on, right? So we're standing in line, and we start moving up. The third qualifying match starts, and people start moving up through the line. When the third qualifying match starts, we say the same people that played the first and second rounds cutting in front of everybody, somehow getting in. And the Daybreak guy saying, come on in, yeah, we'll get you all set up, yeah. So these same people are playing match after match after match. And you can go and check the records on this. They posted the records online. And people in line started rioting almost. So we borderline started rioting. People were getting pissed. You know, we were standing in the line for 7 hours, 7.5 hours, couldn't leave, couldn't do anything. And we get ready to play. And we can't play because people are cutting us in line. So the second time the guy walked by about 2.5 hours later with a clicker after I was hit for 82nd, I got bumped from 82nd to 127th. How does that happen? How do I go from 82nd to 127th on a clicker with nobody there? I mean, how does that work? How does that happen?
I would have lost my shit. Right? They would have fucking let me play.
Oh, it gets worse.
Trust me. So
I would have threw every fucking
it's these same people. Okay, well, tie-dye, dude, you saw this happen, and why didn't you stand up and say something? Oh, I sure fucking did, man. I sure did. And it wasn't just me who stood up. I was actually the tamer of the bunch. I had people around me start screaming and yelling at people for cutting in line, and I myself alerted the vice president of Daybreak while this was happening. Right as the third qualifying match went around, I watched Nightwalker, Sweater, Flamehopper, and I think it was Chappie walk back in again. I said, "Are you freaking kidding me? I just watched these guys play 3 rounds, and you're the one who told me to get back in line to make it a fair level playing field." And his exact response was, "Oh, I don't know what to say. We're really busy." I said, "That's not an excuse, bud." And he goes, "You're waving at them, talking to them. You know who they are. They just came through 3 times." He goes, "Well, they do have a lot of followers," and turned around and walked away.
Oh, see,
boom!
I want to ask about this because Ty-Dye, I remember playing in Team Abduction with you, but I'm good friends with Chappie and Sweater and Solid FPS. Like I played with those guys every day. Like I kind of want to ask them, like, what the fuck is the deal with that, man?
Here's the kicker. They knew what was happening because I had a gal in front of me, a gal who I play with every single night, say on the third match, she screamed in front of everyone, "Hey, Sweater," flipped him off and said, "Fuck you. You know what you're doing, you piece of shit." And he laughed. He literally put his head back, laughed, and sat down and started talking to his friends again. I'm telling you, Solid FPS. I had so much respect for Solid.
Computer desk.
I had so much respect for Solid FPS from the last year because he took my spot when I was supposed to be in there. He took my spot from PAX Prime. I was runner-up to go there. He took my spot, and so I lost all respect for him. Man, we found a list, man. We've been researching. So not only does that happen, and multiple Daybreak employees get hit up about this, right? I mean, people in line are talking to Twitch personnel, Daybreak employees, all sorts of shit. And I literally, by the 4th qualifying match, not getting in after being 82nd, after waiting for 7.5, almost 8 hours, just standing, dude. My feet are dead at this point, bro. Like I didn't want to stand anymore because I'm a fatty, you know, whatever. But at this point,
I'm sure you weren't the only one there that was a fatty.
Here's the thing. So I know. So I'm there. I'm staying at my sister's house. So I didn't get any food. I literally ate a granola bar at 7:30 in the morning. I got 5 hours of sleep, and I'm standing in line, and I couldn't leave my spot to eat because I was told that I would lose my spot. Okay. Well, by the 4th one, and after that conversation I had with the VP, I literally looked at him, and I said, "I will not partake in your guys' fucking bullshit." And I lifted the curtain, I walked out and walked away and went and talked to PlayerUnknown and a couple other companies, man. I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to waste my entire day watching this shit go down and watching the same people over and over and over keep losing and playing while hundreds of other people are there. Dude, there are dudes who flew in from South Korea trying to get, who were waiting in line for just as long as we were trying to play. this is, if you're going to make a tournament and you're going to call it to be a community tournament where it's about community members, I don't know. Why do you make it a fair play? So it doesn't even end there. So the next day I get a phone, or I start getting messages. My shit starts blowing up on my phone from Daybreak employees saying, come down here and talk to us. Come down here and talk to us. Come down here and talk to us. And I ignored it. I said, I want nothing. For? Well, because I went on Reddit and I made a post because not even me, somebody else made a post talking about the shit that was going on. And I told everything I just said to you guys right now in a giant post, a giant book. So they're seeing this and they're freaking out. They know they're in panic mode. So they keep saying, come down and talk to us, come down and talk to us. I keep saying, no, I have nothing to say to you guys. And they keep messaging. So I finally said, all right, fine. I talk shit on the keyboard. I'll meet them face to face and I'll tell them the exact same thing. So I get a ride over back to TwitchCon on Sunday, and I walk in there and I talk to them, and I told them what happened, and they right away they owned up to it and said, we know we fricked up, we screwed up. First they asked if I wanted to hear it 100%, or what did Radar say? He says something about like, if he wants to be 100% truthful, or if he needs to sugarcoat it for me. And I just kind of looked at him and laughed. I was like, really? You got to sugarcoat your answers to me? Wow. And like I'm some idiot or something? Like, come on, bro, So I'm sitting there. They pull. Oh, this is the funny part too. Is they pull me into their partnered section where there's nice chairs and have me sit down between them, and they start talking to me like that's going to impress me. And I didn't buy into it. I really didn't, dude. I was savage, man. And I started just jumping in on him. I said, this is not okay. I was like, you know what? And I'm not even over here bitching because I didn't get to play again, and win a shot at the invitation. I don't even care about that at this point. At this point, it's all the other people you got to worry about. The 100,000, because, there may be, say there's 100 of us who have 1,000 followers. That's 100,000 people that are going to find out about this shit. You know what I mean? Right. And I told them, and I started getting hit up left and right by different people about it. And they owned up to it right away, and they just kept saying they were sorry. And I said, well, that doesn't cut it. Like, now you're sorry after the tournament. Like, after 260.
Well, no, they knew about it because you brought it up to them while you were in line. And they pretty much said, well, this is the way it's going to be. You just screwed however many people were waiting in line. And then the next day, you're going to say you're sorry? No, fuck that.
The next day, they're sorry. After the tournament, they're sorry. And then after the tournament, they also said, well, we didn't really know what was going on. I said, dude, there's no way you didn't know what was going on. And I started pointing at their employees. And I said, that dude was in front of the line and literally waved him over and let him in. I said, don't tell me you didn't know. And they just kind of left it at that. And then they started asking me,
because they got the views from their fucking big people.
Then they started talking about how what were they talking? They were talking about how they were sorry and how much they really care, and people just don't understand. And I was like, well, maybe they don't understand because they think that all you're about is money, which is technically is true based on your actions. That's why people call you day crate. I literally said that to him, and there's a lot more cuss words involved. I'm really taming it down, but I was pretty hostile, dude. I was pretty not cool about it. And they just buttered it up and said there's an art team and then there's a programming team and this and that. And they said they promised to get this stuff fixed. And then Greg Henninger, Legion, said that he looked me in the face and he said, I promise we're going to have a tournament that's going to be fair. And I said, man, you also said you were going to fix Just Survive after the last Invitational. And he's like, shit. I could tell he was like, oh shit, he brought that up. And the look on his face is priceless, man. Whoa. And I also said,
so
I also said something about the showdown with some of the guys that Focus play with, because that shit was rigged as well, man. The whole showdown tournament was rigged. And instead of owning up to it, they literally denied everything. They denied it all and said it was all on the people in the community and said that they put people in charge. And I said, well, did you not make prizes? Is it not your game? Did you not host a tournament? Well, yeah. Then you're in charge of it. And they said, no.
Same way. You experienced it too. It was all about the streamers.
Here's my thing.
All them streamers who never even fucking played the game got in and into the showdown tournament over people that have been streaming it every fucking day for months and months and months.
He was trying to say that was a community game. That was a community tournament. This one is a celeb tournament. They admitted this is a celebrity tournament, and they're doing it because
then why put a price tag on it, $265,000 or whatever, if it's not going to be fair for everyone? Why do that? If you want to have an open tournament with all these big streamers, have that shit. Have it at your booth. Have all these big streamers playing the game. Don't put a price tag on it. Don't guarantee people, hey, if you wait in line, you'll get your fair shot. Don't guarantee none of that. Say we're going to have all these big streamers playing our game. and let them fucking play the game. Then there wouldn't be an issue. But when you put a price tag on it and it's not fair, that's a big problem. That is a big problem. And man, I would have fucking raised hell. They would have hated me. They would have threw me out.
Oh no. I borderline. I had them red in the. I had Raider red in the face. I mean, they didn't stop there because I've been QA testing for them. Excuse me. So I started asking them a ton of other stuff too, man. Like, brought up. There's a Reddit post. I got a link. I'll link it in the chat here about what I asked them specifically and stuff. But it was pretty disgusting, man. On top of it, I recognized there were more competitive players in the qualifying matches than the actual invitational. Those qualifying matches should have been the invitational because those guys who were playing are real H1Z1 players that have time, not some MMA fighter that has 10 hours of gameplay that got brought in the invitational.
That was fucking bullshit. I saw that dude. That dude couldn't even drive the fucking cop car. Like, I don't know if you guys know who like Mighty Mouse Johnson is. Why the fuck are you streaming?
Talking about the UFC champ?
Yeah, Mighty Mouse. He's a streamer and he's in the fucking invitational. And I watched him crash a cop car, and he could barely fucking turn it around. Like, you don't even play games, let alone fucking play competitive H1Z1. Why are you here?
So, I don't know. I lost my chance to promote.
It's all promotion,
he's the UFC champion.
Right, that's all it is. Like, it's all just promotion.
So I lost my chance because I went in there and I went pretty hard on him, and so I lost my chance to go see a tour of the studio and stuff. But hey, man, I'm gonna stand up for what I believe is right, and I thought that was a pretty shitty situation. So
well, and you told me also about what was it Game 5 when they brought Tyler 1 in?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Tyler 1. So I brought that up too, and they got pretty shitty about this one. So Tyler 1, they literally, I had 4 witnesses that legit saw them stop the match, bring in Tyler 1 from outside of the arena to play in the match after it had already started and they're 2 months in looting. They stopped the match, pulled the plug, and I asked them about it, and they said they did not stop the match for that. Tyler crashed, left, and then came back, and we brought him in. However, that was what their excuse was. They said that absolutely did not happen. I said that is absolutely not true because why would 4 people who don't even play the game, who are bigger streamers, lie to me? What would they have to gain from that? You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it firsthand, but I heard from a ton of people, and you heard it too. When you were big, I heard it too from one of them.
Yeah,
that was standing there.
When we were at the after party.
So it's
everyone parachutes in, they're beginning looting, then they stop the match.
They stop
pull this guy in.
Yeah, to pull Tyler 1 in.
They'll let him play.
Buck, you've seen H1? You know how it works, right? If you
I've never played it, but I know how it works.
If you spawn in the mountains, you're fucked. Like you're done. So imagine if somebody got a good spawn, they stop the match to bring in a big fucking streamer, and then you get caught in the mountains, and you just lost your shot at 260.
So they've respawned everyone? Like they just
they restarted the game.
Oh,
so you want to hear something even better? I found this out on my own before I came on here. This is even better too. The guy who won the 3rd qualifying match, Stay Lifted. He won the 3rd qualifying match right after playing the 2nd one, as we were all in line.
So he should have got up and been in line.
Yep. And he won the 3rd qualifying match. So he won and had a shot at $260,000.
Wow.
Because he was bumping elbows with the Dez, BS, and having I don't know what they were doing, man. But
who the fuck did he suck off?
Yeah, exactly, man. So on top of that, after I make those posts on H1Z1, I have the head subreddit mod of H1Z1 message me a link of EverQuest where they had something almost freaking identical happen a year and a half to 2 years ago, if not longer. I can't remember exactly what times. It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago with a Planetside tournament where the same
I saw that.
Guys who ran it are the same people that did this one, who fucked this one up, who claim they fucked it up. I don't think so. I did at first. You know what? At first I thought it was an honest mistake and they just didn't have their shit together on Sunday. And then I started reading backstory into this stuff, and I find out that they've been doing this all the time. They did this all the time. So yeah, I had to get this off my chest. I wanted you guys to kind of weigh in and check it out, but this is crazy, man.
I mean, Focus. I mean, when he came back from TwitchCon last year, he was super into H1Z1. He went super heavy into it.
I did up until when I stopped playing H1Z1 is when the Showdown tournament happened. Because I put months of fucking practice and time and stream time into playing that game. over and over and over and over and over because, and then when that tournament came along, like I was down for it. I was ready to fucking play, and I got shafted from playing in the actual tournament itself. I played in all the qualifying stuff and actually did very fucking well. There was at a point where I was on the fucking top 10 leaderboards for the week. Like Ty, I remember playing with you in the team abduction matches. You remember all that stuff, but what really was shitty is just the fact that they took people who didn't even fucking play the game, like streamers that were bigger than me who never touched the fucking game, and instantly put them in there. Instantly put them in the fucking tournament. Just because of who they were, and not the people who supported the game and played it and grinded it.
Oh, you're telling me Julie TV didn't earn her spot in there, even though she played 4 times in that whole entire thing in the showdown?
It's funny because I like Julie TV as a streamer, but she's like the first one that comes to mind when I think about that showdown tournament and who got, like, just because it's just that company is just so. The game itself, I like the game. The game is is great. Like the idea is great. The battle royale is fucking awesome. But the company is just, and this, like I was in, because I told you I'm friends with Sweater and Solid and Shabby. Like I'm good friends with them. And I was in their streams the other day, and I'm like, 2 weeks ago, you were just talking shit about this game, about how fucking bad the game is, how bad the fucking company is, and then you come back from the Invitational, and now you're so fucking hyped to play it. I said you're blinded by this Invitational hype because it's still the same company that you were talking shit about 2 weeks ago, and it's still the same fucking game that you were talking shit about 2 weeks ago. And it's funny is because as you watch them, like even Sweater tweeted out the other day, like, oh man, like who's happy to be back playing on H1 on a non-LAN connection, blah 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 type of thing. And I'm like, it's the same fucking thing, man. It's the same thing that you've been talking shit about, but because of this Invitational, everyone's so fucking hyped. It's that fucking everyone wants their 15 minutes of fame.
No,
like,
I think they're working out shit with Daybreaks. What I think is all those guys you just named are the ones who are guilty as shit for doing this right now.